What's up, y'all? We are live. We are out here on beautiful Lake Guntersville for the first time. First day of practice for the MLF Toyota Series event starts now. We got my boy Timmy McNair in the boat. So we got it all in, got it running. Everything's good to go. We're gonna see what happens. Haven't even looked at the water temp yet, so we're gonna get in the boat and check that out. But it's like 40 degrees right now. So it's a beautiful morning. You can see I'm kind of layered up, but that's because I'm from the north and I'm used to cold, so this southern warmth is different to me. Tim's already ready for it though. Dude has on shorts, so we're gonna see what happens. Tim, what do you think?
I'm ready to go.
He's ready to go. He hasn't had a boat in like months, so he's just ready to not be sitting at home watching everybody else fish. So we're gonna go fish. We're gonna see what happens. Let's do it. So Lake Guntersville is huge. I want to talk about some of my initial thoughts of the place. It is absolutely massive. The lake is huge, and not only is it huge, but there's so much of the water that is fishable. You know, you're looking at it on a map, and there's so many ledges and offshore reefs and just like crazy places that you can get back into. So many different creek arms and pockets and everything on there that it was crazy trying to break it down on a map. And I had looked at it for weeks previously on Navionics and on my Humminbird, and I had studied it and studied it and studied it, and I had new places that I wanted to look at. I had looked at it on Google Earth a ton, but nothing prepares you when you get there. So the first day of fishing it, I had a buddy that I was staying with that lived on the lake that was kind of showing me around and kind of breaking it down for me and showing me some of his favorite spots, which was super helpful. His name is Tim McNair. He has a guide service down on Guntersville. If you guys are in the area, hit him up. He's new down there. It wasn't like I was getting spots from like Randy Howe or anybody. It was just a couple spots that he'd caught a couple fish on. He was pretty new, but definitely knew a lot more than I did. So it was nice to have that insider look at it from somebody who'd never fished it before. So we get there. Water temperature was like 47 to 50 degrees in the morning. First day I launched it in there. I'm like, okay, those are great pre-spawn. Like, it's going to be good. Those fish are going to be fat. They're going to be moving. And it was only getting warmer. So started fishing around and just wasn't getting bites, wasn't getting bites. And then he took me to a spot where he had caught a couple fish in an area that he liked. And he caught a couple right away on Z-Man jackhammer in that fire craw color, which I was trying not to throw the baits that everybody was going to be throwing. But he caught a couple 3-pounders right off the bat on it. I was like, oh, okay. So we fished around, and it became evident that it was going to be a really tough tournament just from day one. And normally day one's like my throwaway practice because you're just, or my throwaway day of practice because you're just getting used to the lake and having to look around and whatnot. So I was like, whatever. He's cold. That's a nice one. Almost, what is it, 2.5 probably? Maybe 3?
That's 3.
Nice.
That's the other thing down here.
They're fatter.
They're, yeah, that's over 3. That's, I mean, not much. I'd say 3 1/4.
Sweet.
They are boats. Yep. 3 years later, what do you have? Hey.
What was that on? Chatterbait?
Yeah, when I picked it back up.
Was it a good one? Yeah. It is a good one. It's like 3-pounder. You didn't want to flip them?
I don't want to take a chance of losing the bait.
That's a nice fish.
I'm going to take a picture. Just because you got a picture.
Chatterbait gets bigger fish.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It seems that way, doesn't it?
Hey, I made a good call, didn't I? You didn't even have to tell me it was there. You may take your picture.
It might be easier. Got too close. Okay. Yeah, I did notice that, and it, how much higher do you think it is? Okay, and how much would it? All right, well, let me ask you this. If you build it up, yeah, I guess it would just push it back further until it, you know, until it filled up something, right?
There you go. Day 2 rolls around. He couldn't come fish with me, so I fished around and I struggled. I think I caught one keeper the entire day. Caught a couple short fish. And I was like, man, this place is tough. And then day 3, he kind of came out with me and we looked it all over and fished a couple more spots, and it became clear to me that it is a spot lake. It is not a pattern lake. It is not a lake that you can look at a map and say, oh, I caught him right here. I should be able to catch him right here and go hop around. Those fish live in groups. He's told me he's caught them in groups of like 100, 200, like these mega schools of fish. And it was pretty clear that if you caught one, there was more in the area. But finding those spots that those fish were was incredibly hard. So it was just needle in a haystack. You'd fish 100 spots and might catch fish off one of them, maybe 2 of them. And you could literally look at a map and break down 20 other spots. Say you caught 4 fish off one spot, you could look at 20 other spots that set up identical and catch 0, maybe catch 1. And that was how tough it was. And so the baits that I was throwing was, you know, that jackhammer and that fire craw. I was throwing that Berkeley Fritz side. Big fan of that bait. Has a really subtle action to it. I was messing around with a football jig a little bit. And I was throwing a jerkbait. I was trying to Hank Cherry that thing. I love a jerkbait, Megabass Vision 110. And that was what I was trying to do. So I was running around, I was playing with those baits, and after the first couple days of practice, it was pretty clear that it was going to be really tough. You know, I'd only caught a couple of fish. I had one spot that I had caught 4 fish pretty quick that I was like, man, you know. But there was 338 boats in this tournament, or 328 boats. So I was like, nothing's safe, you know. These guys are going to find everything that you find. You got to figure out a way to be different than these guys, and you got to figure out a way to be more efficient. So the whole time I'm trying to look at different ways and look at different areas to fish, and it was honestly just super tough. And it mentally strains you. And fishing is supposed to be fun, but you know, you put a little bit of stress on yourself when you're getting in these situations. So my initial thoughts of Guntersville were like, man, this place is legendary, you know, and you're sitting there fishing all these legendary places, catching like one here, one there, and then it kind of clicks on you. You're like, all the events that I've watched here, these guys are living off like 2 or 3 spots. You're like, that's because that's all they found, you know? So it's not one of those lakes you're bouncing around fishing a whole bunch of different spots. It's like you're getting in an area and you're living in it and trying to get bites. So it was pretty cool though. It was really cool to fish there. So my initial thoughts, and this is my part 1 practice video, I have a part 2 coming up soon, is that it was super tough. Those fish were moving, and you know, I had to throw those baits that everybody was throwing. Those were the only ones I could get bit on. I tried playing around with a bunch of different baits, and I was relying on baits that everybody was throwing. I was just trying to fish them in a different way, you know, vary the retrieves a little bit and try to find new areas that I thought I could catch fish with. So it was evident to me the fish down there when it was cold out in the morning were a lot different than the fish up here north when it gets cold out. When it gets cold up here, these fish go deeper. When it gets cold down there, they go shallower. I don't get that. I probably will never get that, but it was cool to, you know, realize that. So that was my original thoughts on day 1. It was tough. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to be on the lookout for part 2. If you guys want to see a rundown of some of the baits that I talked about in this video and that you saw me using, be sure to check out this video up here where I talk about some more of the baits that I was using in this video and break them down a little bit more in depth. But thank you guys so much for watching. God bless, and y'all take care. These videos are brought to you in part by Fish USA, America's tackle shop. Feel free to stop by in Fairview, PA, or visit us online at fishusa.com. God bless y'all, and thank you so much for watching.